अगर दूसरी बात करें इंडिया के दूसरे बॉलर्स की, तो देर आर टू प्रॉब्लम्स विद देम। वन ऑब्वियसली हमने देखा कि जब बुमराह अच्छी बॉलिंग करते हैं तो फ्रॉम द अदर एंड पीपल आर नॉट एबल टू रेप्लिकेट दैट परफॉर्मेंस। उल्टा प्रसिद्ध जैसे आपने बोला 6 के रन रेट के हिसाब से रन दे रहे, दैट ऑल्सो 20 overs 120 runs। सिराज ऑल्दो ही फाउंड हिज मोजो, बट उसका लक नहीं चल रहा है, उसको विकेट नहीं मिल रही है। एंड द एंटायर अदर बॉलिंग डिपार्टमेंट विदाउट शामी एंड बुमराह आर कंप्लीटली इनएक्सपीरियंस्ड। प्लस उन्होंने रन्स भी नहीं बनाए। दोनों इनिंग्स में कोलैप्स हुआ, 6 for 31 एंड 6 for 41, विच इज क्वाइट मिजरेबल। सो नाउ लेट्स टॉक अबाउट इंडियाज लोअर ऑर्डर वरीज फर्स्टली, कि क्या ट्वीक कर सकते हैं। आई थिंक द डिसीजन ऑफ सेंडिंग सिराज अबव बुमराह इन द थर्ड इनिंग्स वाज क्वाइट डिबेटेबल, बिकॉज अगर तुमको चाहिए था कि जडेजा रन्स बनाए एक साइड से, देन सेंडिंग आउट सिराज ओवर बुमराह इज नॉट द वे टू गो। रेहान आपसे स्टार्ट करते हैं।
I mean, क्या बोल सकते हैं? It's like apple and oranges. Even if Bumrah would have come out to play early, I don't think he could have made that much of a difference. But see, it's been a continuous problem. Like it's been a problem since 18 months or so, where India have, even in the home test matches, if you see against New Zealand, they have not really shown any kind of resistance. Whereas if you look at other teams that have played, look at somebody like Australia or England for that matter, they have a tail ender that at least gives you a cushion of 50 runs or so. Even a team like Bangladesh, I was seeing that Bangladesh Sri Lanka test match, even Bangladesh tail enders are scoring runs. I mean, we have to find a way to improve the batting of the tail enders. I mean, they have to show some kind of fight. I think India are missing Shami big time with the bat and ball both. But yeah, that has to be improved in the coming test matches.
Kabir, if for example in the second match, Bumrah does not play, I think everyone on call would agree that Ashdeep Singh would step in because of his left arm difference and
Yeah.
stuff. But you also have Shardul Thakur, who is being slotted to come in at number 8. And I don't think that the Indian team management will make a lot of changes in terms of batting all rounder. I don't think they'll bring in Nitish Kumar Reddy just yet. They'll maybe give
Hmm.
Shardul at least 1 or 2 more matches to prove himself. But do you think that फोर बॉलर्स, फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर प्रसिद्ध, सिराज, अर्शदीप और शार्दुल खेलते हैं, आर दे डू दे
Okay.
हैव द एक्सपीरियंस टू पिक अप 20 विकेट्स? इफ इवन वो तो आंसर करो ही, बट क्या वो इंडिया के लोअर ऑर्डर वरीज को सॉल्व कर सकते हैं?
Quite dicey, quite dicey. Unfortunately, मुझे उन पे उतना भरोसा नहीं है. I'm sure it is a sport of miracles, and if one happens in the second test, we are all for it. But quite young players. Ashdeep से थोड़ा expectation है, but again, quite of good ODI performance. Test में the left-right combo, like let's say one end से प्रसिद्ध और सिराज डाल रहे, from the other end you have Arshdeep, तो maybe that will help. अगर let's say both of them are outswinging the ball, तो batsman को भी खेलना थोड़ा tough हो जाएगा. But and this tailenders not scoring run is hopefully an anomaly. I think कि what do you say? It's more of एक बार हो गया, जैसे इंडिया भी like 36 पे ऑल आउट हुए थे ना इसके अगेंस्ट,
करेक्ट,
ऑस्ट्रेलिया
या
के अगेंस्ट.
या
तो it's an anomaly, right? You can't just say कि खराब है. I hope it's an anomaly क्योंकि it is quite bizarre. कि ऑन दी वन हैंड यू हैव ओपनिंग बैट टॉप टॉप ऑर्डर बैट्समैन जो खेले ही जा रहे हैं, मतलब 100 110 120 130 रन मार रहे हैं. ऋषभ पंत 2 centuries in 2 innings, बट ऑन दी अदर एंड तुम्हारे योर latter half of the batting squad is not performing at all. Kind of an anomaly of a test itself, if you think about it, right? We've had, I think, what, more than 8 centuries, 8 9 centuries in this test.
या
And yeah, so kind of an anomaly, but I don't have much. Without Bumrah, the bowling is quite weak. But you never know. You never know.
एंड आदित्य, अरे प्रकट हो जाइए, कहाँ चले गए? हाँ, सो one thing I would like to ask you is what we can learn from England. They wrapped up India's innings quite nicely. I think एक चीज अगर हम बात करें कि इंडिया का कोलैप्स क्यों हुआ, अगर वी ट्राई टू फिगर दैट आउट, आई थिंक दे फर्स्टली ऑब्वियसली इंडिया का बैटिंग तो है ही प्रॉब्लम लोअर ऑर्डर के लिए, बट दे बोल्ड फुल एट द स्टंप्स। एंड आई थिंक उन्होंने पहले बाउंसर्स मारे, व्हेन इंडियन बैट्समैन वर एक्सपेक्टिंग बाउंसर्स उन्होंने फुल बॉल डाल के आउट करने की कोशिश की, विच इज समथिंग दैट इंडियन बॉलर्स वर नॉट एबल टू डू टू द इंग्लिश लोअर ऑर्डर, बिकॉज वो लोग एडवांस होके 4 मार रहे थे, 6 मार रहे थे. सो क्या लगता है क्या चेंज करना चाहिए इंडियन बॉलर्स को इंग्लैंड टेल को आउट करने के लिए?
Look, I think the first thing that the bowlers lacked was raw pace. I think Josh Tongue and who was the
Martin
second
Cast.
pacer apart from Brooks? Yeah, Bryden Cast. They all bowl in the mid 140s, and even towards the end, they were almost reaching that speed. While the
Correct.
Indian bowlers, they were more in the 130s, and generally it's the speed that rattles the lower order.
Correct.
Plus, of
Yeah.
course, it matters that they were bowling right at the stumps or they were bowling bouncers, which were again throwing our bowlers off their game. While when it comes to our bowlers, the pace isn't enough. They were tired by the end. I think their line and length were giving them enough opportunity to drive the ball or hit their shots without being scared. And I think that's the major issue. There was no aggression, first of all, from our bowlers, which would have been there under a certain captain a few years back. And apart from that, I think, I mean, more than the bowlers, you really need to blame Karun Nair, Shardul Thakur, and Jadeja. I think they really sort of failed to carry the sort of fire that the top five had created. If before the first test you would have told me that India is going to lose, I wouldn't be surprised. If you told me they were going to score 400 plus and 300 plus in their two innings, that I would be surprised about. And I think that's a positive. But all of this has come from the top five and nothing from the remaining six. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think for the lower order, these three at 6, 7, and 8 really need to do something about it. And only then can you really blame the bowlers. I mean, उनसे कितना ही expectations रखोगे, maximum वो 10-20 रन और दे देते. That's why I also think Akashdeep might be a good inclusion in the next match because he has some batting pedigree. At least you have seen him score in other matches in test matches compared to these other bowlers. So I think you don't need to make just one change with Arshdeep, but you also need to bring in Akashdeep according to me.